Star Wars: The Last Jedi. This movie is a movie that no one has talked about on the internet ever, and I am going to be the first one to give my honest thoughts on this movie with no controversy whatsoever behind it because no one has talked about this movie. Yeah, everyone's talked about this movie. I'm going to make this video brief if I can because yeah, I guess I'll give my personal story. I was not a big fan of The Force Awakens, so I was not even really excited to see this, but I got to go see it and with a friend, and I had a great time. I really liked this movie, and I think this happened to a lot of people, where I really liked this movie out of the theater, and then the more I thought with the movie just went in terms of my enjoyment of it, which is not me saying it's a bad movie. It is a mixed bag of a movie. This is a movie I'd give like a 7 out of 10, but it's like closer to a 6 because there's like a lot of good and a lot of bad in here. Let's start with the bad and then we'll get into the good stuff because the good stuff does not get talked enough because of the way the internet works with this. The bad here is, first of all, Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron is a good character, but in this movie, his arc is so shitty. First of all, he is like a flyboy, doesn't play by the rules, and does a lot of stupid things. And so, he ends up causing a mutiny, but the mutiny doesn't make sense. There was no reason for the character not to tell him the plans, and when it fucking happens, it's like, what the fuck is even going on here? And it didn't really felt like, oh, Poe learned a lesson and actually grew from that. The way I would have done it is I would have given him Finn's arc in this movie, which is that, he is a guy who believes he has nothing left to live for, so he just kind of comes to sacrifice himself and make a lot of stupid decisions and realizes, you know what, that's not the way to fight a rebellion by making stupid decisions and making self-sacrifices. You actually have to, fight for what you believe in, but also be smart and strategical, sort of thing. But it just didn't work. I also really hate the humor in this movie. Like Luke throwing the lightsaber and the line with Hux and stuff. Now, a lot of that is like people accused of being Marvel humor, and I think some of it is, but you also have to acknowledge like a lot of this is probably Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson is a guy in his movies that likes to be a little tongue in cheeky, have a little bit of sense of humor. If you've seen the Knives Out movies, right? And and occasionally there'll be like a moment or a joke that will be okay, but for the most part, most of the humor in this movie is fucking terrible. The opening with Hux and Poe, what are we doing? Snoke dying was bad in retrospect. I thought it was a cool jumping off point for the next movie, but they didn't really do anything with that. We brought the Emperor back. Also, it felt like, what was the point of killing him if you set up all that mystery? Rey's people being nobody in this movie also ended up being being dumb. If I guess I would have accepted it a little bit more if the next movie just went with it, but the next movie retconned it and did all this stuff that it was really like, yeah, that's not great. But that's more on the other movie, not this one. So we'll talk about that more in the next review. And last thing I want to say, because I want to save this one for last, because people hate on this actress so much that she got bullied off of social media. Kelly Marie Tran as Rose. Her performance is fine. She's not the problem. The writing with this character is just not great. She starts off at a great point. She just lost her sister, and she goes off with Poe, and they go on this little journey to this casino planet, which was awful. And it just felt like there needed to be better writing there. Yeah, it just wasn't great. So now, yeah, that's all the bad. Now let's talk about the good. This is one of the best looking Star Wars movies. This is not the best looking Star Wars movie. That's probably you know, well, no, this might be the best looking Star Wars movie. Rogue One looks really good, but this one is great. Ryan Johnson's cinematography, the little touches he does during action sequences with the red assault on this planet was amazing. So many great moments like that. There's so many great fight sequences when like they're fighting and killing Snoke. What a great battle. Um, Things like that are really cool. Um, all the stuff on Luke, where Luke's training Ray, is really good stuff. But I mean, I don't really like what they. I guess I should have said this in the negatives. I kind of forgot to mention that. I don't really like what they did with Luke. I don't think the moment of darkness and weakness really worked here, and I wish we got to see him actually like being a Jedi teacher and training people. I think that would have been interesting. Um, but we didn't get to see that, and I like his death scene. I thought it worked emotionally, even if it felt like, why are we killing all of our legacy characters in these movies? I mean, maybe it's because certain actors just don't want to do it, but like it just feels like, I don't know. There's just so many other things in this movie. Uh, I like Yoda. Luke scene is beautiful. I love the score to this one too. The score for this one actually is better than The Force Awakens. John Williams admitted while he was composing The Force Awakens, he was a little bit rushed doing that score, and so like you can see how that this one has a little bit more of the emotional beats in the score and stuff. Um, and I think that Kylo is a little bit better in this movie, and when the stuff that he goes through in this movie, I don't know. I just really like it. Last thing I want to say, the negative. Don't really like Princess Leia flying through space. Couldn't we have just like killed her? The actress is already dead. Couldn't we do the reshoots and let her die in this movie, and then rewrote the ending to have Luke be involved in the next one somehow? I don't fucking know. Um, I don't know, but I do. I also really like the theme of this movie, which is the theme of, Luke will not be the last Jedi because hope will prevail. There will always be someone else to take on the teachings and of others. Also, the message about teachers is really powerful. So I think this movie, like I said, it's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and you mix it together, you just get like the most mixed bag of a movie I've maybe ever seen. Because at least Rise of Skywalker, which we'll talk about, not next video, we'll talk about Solo next week, because I'm reviewing the Star Wars movies in release order, by the way, if you don't know. It's just the whole thing. Let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe.